The butter knife slipped from my fingers, clattering against the porcelain plate with a sound that seemed to echo through our sun-drenched kitchen. Randy hadn't even looked up from his phone when he said it. "I want a divorce, Elena." Steam still rose from his untouched coffee. The morning light caught the gold band on his finger, the one I'd slipped on 17 years ago, promising forever. My scrambled eggs congealed on my plate as I stared at the man I thought I knew better than myself. "What?" The word came out as barely a whisper. He finally met my eyes, and what I saw there made my blood run cold. Not guilt. Not sorrow. Just impatience. As if I were keeping him from something important. "You heard me." He pushed back from the table, the chair leg scraping against our hardwood floor. "I'll have my lawyer contact yours." "Randy, wait," I stood so quickly my knee hit the table, sending orange juice sloshing over the rim of my glass. "What are you talking about? What happened? Is there someone?" "This isn't about anyone else." The lie rolled off his tongue so smoothly I almost believed it. Almost. I can't do this anymore." "Do what?" "Our marriage? Our life?" My voice cracked. "Our children?" Something flickered across his face at the mention of Sophia and Tony, but it was gone before I could name it. "The kids will be fine. They're practically adults anyway." Sophia was 15. Tony, 13. "That's it?" I followed him as he strode toward the door, my bare feet slapping against the cold floor. 17 years, and that's all you have to say?" He paused at the threshold, his hand on the doorknob. For a moment, I thought he might turn around, might explain, might remember who we used to be. Instead, he glanced at his watch. "I have a meeting. We'll talk later." The door closed with a soft click that might as well have been a gunshot. I stood there, staring at the white-painted wood, my mind struggling to process what had just happened. The house felt different already, emptier, colder, despite the morning sun streaming through every window. My legs gave out, and I sank onto the bottom step of our staircase, pressing my palms against my eyes until I saw stars. 2 hours. That's all I had to fall apart before the doorbell rang. I almost didn't answer it. But the ringing persisted, followed by impatient knocking. Through swollen eyes, I peered through the peephole and saw a woman I didn't recognize. Young, maybe mid-20s, with sleek black hair and designer sunglasses pushed up on her head. Her hand rested on the pronounced curve of her belly. Pregnant. Very pregnant. Some instinct, some terrible knowing, made me open the door. "Finally," she said, pushing past me without invitation. Her heels clicked against my foyer floor as she surveyed my home with calculating eyes. "So this is where he keeps you?" Before we continue, please write in the comment which country you are watching this video. We love knowing where our global family is tuning in from, and if this is your first time on this channel, please subscribe, it helps support our channel. Enjoy listening. "Excuse me?" My voice found strength in indignation. "Who are you?" She turned, one perfectly sculpted eyebrow raised. "Seriously? He didn't tell you about me?" A laugh, sharp as broken glass. Typical Randy. "I'm Veronica. Veronica Dan." "Your husband's, well, I suppose girlfriend sounds so juvenile, doesn't it?" The room tilted. I gripped the doorframe to stay upright. "And before you ask," she continued, running a manicured hand over her belly, "yes, it's his. Due in 3 months. It's a boy, by the way." Randy is thrilled. "He's always wanted a son. He has a son." The words came out like shards of ice. "Tony. His 13-year-old son." Veronica waved a dismissive hand. "That's different. This is our fresh start. Our real family." She studied me with cold amusement. "God, you really had no idea, did you? How does it feel, being so oblivious in your own life?" My neighbor, Mrs. Shane, chose that moment to water her petunias. I saw her through the still open door, pretending not to watch while very obviously watching. Veronica noticed too and smiled, raising her voice. Randy said you'd make this difficult. That's why he wanted to handle the divorce quietly. But I told him, why should we hide? We're in love. We're having a baby. You're the one who should be embarrassed, not us. Get out. My voice was steady now, fueled by a cold fury that surprised me. Get out of my house. Your house? She laughed again. Oh, honey. You might want to check whose name is on the deed. Randy has been planning this for a while. She sauntered toward the door, pausing to deliver one final blow. He'll be by later for his things. Try not to make a scene. It's beneath you. The door slammed behind her, rattling the family photos on the wall. I stood frozen for exactly 10 seconds. Then I walked to the kitchen, picked up my phone, and called my best friend. Dorothy? Clear your afternoon. I need you. Dorothy arrived within 20 minutes, armed with tissues and righteous fury. She found me in the living room, surrounded by photo albums I'd pulled from the shelf. That absolute bastard, she said, pulling me into a fierce hug. Tell me everything. I did. Every word, every cruel detail. When I finished, Dorothy was pacing my living room like a caged tiger. Something's not right, she said. Randy is calculating, but he's not cruel. Not like this. And showing up with his pregnant mistress? That's not just leaving, that's scorched earth. Maybe I never really knew him. No. Dorothy stopped pacing, fixing me with her lawyer's stare. You knew him. Which is why this doesn't make sense. Elena, think. Has anything been different lately? Any changes in his behavior? I thought back over the past few months. He's been working late more often. Taking calls in his study. But I thought it was just the Clifford acquisition. What else? He's been asking strange questions. About my family. My parents, specifically. Dorothy frowned. Your parents have been dead for 10 years. I know. That's why it was so odd. He wanted to know about their accident. If I'd kept any of their papers. Legal documents. Elena. Dorothy's voice was sharp. Where are your parents' documents? In the safe. In Randy's study. Why? But Dorothy was already moving, heading for the stairs. Show me. Now. Randy's study had always been his sanctuary. I rarely entered without invitation. But as I spun the combination on the safe, our wedding date, how's that for irony, I felt like an intruder in my own home. The safe was empty. No, not empty. A single envelope remained, my name written across it in my mother's careful script. My hand shook as I opened it. My darling Elena, I read aloud. If you're reading this, then something has happened to us, and there are things you need to know. The letter detailed a trust. One my parents had set up before their death, meant to pass to me on my 40th birthday, just 3 months away. The amount made me gasp. But it was the conditions that made my blood run cold. The trust reverts to charity if the beneficiary is divorced or legally separated at the time of disbursement, Dorothy read over my shoulder. Holy shit, Elena. How much money are we talking about? $8 million. Dorothy whistled low. And Randy knew about this? He must have. He handled all our finances. Said it was easier that way. I felt sick. Oh God, Dorothy. Our entire marriage. Has it all been about money? We need to dig deeper, Dorothy said, her lawyer instincts in full gear. But carefully. If he's been planning this, we need to be smarter. A knock at the door interrupted us. Not the doorbell, a knock. Familiar. I knew that rhythm. That's Mrs. Shane, I said. My neighbor. The elderly woman stood on my porch, wringing her hands. Elena, dear, I'm so sorry to intrude, but I couldn't help overhearing earlier. It's fine, Mrs. Shane. No, it's not. She glanced around nervously. May I come in? There's something you should know. About your husband. And that woman. We settled in the living room, Mrs. Shane perched on the edge of my sofa like a bird ready to take flight. I've seen her before, she began. That woman. Veronica. But not with Randy. My heart stopped. What do you mean? She was here 10 months ago. But she was with another man. Older. They were arguing in a car outside your house. I thought it was strange, but... She shrugged. I mind my own business. Usually. Can you describe the man? Mrs. Shane's description was vague but familiar. Something about it nagged at me, like a word on the tip of my tongue. There's more, she continued. Last week, I saw Randy in the garden. He was burning papers in that little fire pit of yours. Seemed odd for morning. And he kept looking at the house, like he was checking if you were watching. After Mrs. Shane left, Dorothy and I sat in silence, processing. We need help, Dorothy finally said. Someone who can dig into this properly. I know a private investigator. No. The word surprised me with its firmness. No investigators. Not yet. I want to handle this myself first. Elena. I know my husband, Dorothy. Or I thought I did. Either way, I know how he thinks. How he plans. I stood, feeling stronger than I had all day. He wants a quiet divorce? Fine. But I'm going to find out why. The real reason. That night, I waited for Randy to come for his things. He never showed. Instead, I received a text, staying at hotel. Movers will come tomorrow. Please don't make this harder than necessary. I stared at those words until they blurred. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I called my cousin Daniel in Seattle. Elena? His voice was groggy, I'd forgotten about the time difference. Is everything okay? Danny, I need to ask you something. About Mom and Dad. About their accident. A pause. What about it? Was there ever anything strange about it? Anything that didn't add up? The silence stretched so long I thought we'd been disconnected. Why are you asking this now? His voice was careful, measured. Please, Danny. It's important. Elena. A sigh. Your parents were coming to see me when they died. They called me the night before, said they had discovered something. About Randy. They were worried. The room spun. What did they discover? I don't know. They died before they could tell me. But Elena, they were planning to hire a lawyer. They mentioned something about protecting you. Protecting your future. I hung up feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. My parents had known. Whatever Randy was, whatever he'd planned, they'd figured it out. And then they'd died. No. I couldn't go there. Not yet. The next morning, the movers arrived as promised. I watched them pack Randy's things with clinical detachment. His clothes. His books. The artwork he'd chosen. 17 years, reduced to boxes and bubble wrap. Ma'am? One of the movers held up a small wooden box. This was in the back of the closet. Want us to take it? I recognized it immediately. Randy's memory box, where he kept old photos and letters. I'll handle that one. I waited until they left before opening it. Inside were the expected mementos, ticket stubs from our first date, our wedding invitation, photos of happier times. But beneath those, wrapped in plastic, were documents that made my blood freeze. Marriage certificates. Plural. The first was ours. The second, dated 3 years before we met, showed Randy married to a woman named Rebecca Rickey. No divorce decree. The third, dated 5 years before our marriage, listed a bride named Jennifer Liu. My husband wasn't just a cheater. He was a serial bigamist. But why? What was the point of multiple marriages? I found the answer in a notebook tucked beneath the certificates. Randy's handwriting, detailing each woman's financial status. Trust funds. Inheritances. Insurance policies. And beside each name, a date and a note: divorced, trust secured, or deceased, policy claimed. My name was at the bottom. Next to it, trust matures at 40. Divorce must be finalized before September. I was just another mark. Another score. But 2 names on the list didn't have resolution notes. Rebecca Ricky and Jennifer Liu were simply marked complicated. My phone rang. Dorothy. Elena, I've been doing some digging. That woman, Veronica? She's not who she says she is. What do you mean? Veronica Dan doesn't exist. At least, not officially. No social media, no employment history, no address history. It's like she appeared out of thin air 10 months ago. 10 months ago. When Mrs. Shane saw her arguing with the older man. There's more, Dorothy continued. I had a friend run Randy's financials. He's in debt, Elena. Massive debt. Hidden accounts, bad investments. He's been keeping it from you, probably using your joint assets to stay afloat. How much debt? Close to $2 million. No wonder he needed my parents' trust. But something still didn't add up. Why the elaborate charade with Veronica? Why not just divorce me quietly? Unless. Dorothy, I need you to look up 2 names. Rebecca Ricky and Jennifer Liu. See if they're still around. While Dorothy worked her legal magic, I did something I should have done hours ago. I called my children. Mom? Sophia's voice was worried. Dad called. He said you guys are getting divorced? Is that true? It's complicated, sweetheart. Where are you? At Madison's house. Dad said I should stay here tonight. Give you space. And Tony? He's at soccer camp, remember? Dad called the coach, said to keep him an extra few days. Of course. Randy had made sure the children were away. Protected from the fallout, or removed as obstacles? Sophia, I need you to come home. Now. And don't tell your father. An hour later, my daughter sat across from me, her face a younger version of my own, processing the truth about her father. I didn't tell her everything. She didn't need to know about the other marriages, the schemes. But she deserved honesty about the divorce and Veronica. I knew something was wrong, she said quietly. Dad's been acting weird. And I saw him once, with her. At the mall. They were shopping for baby stuff. When was this? 2 months ago. I confronted him, but he said I was mistaken. Made me feel crazy for even suggesting it. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, Mom. I should have told you. Oh, sweetheart. None of this is your fault. We were still holding each other when Dorothy called back. Elena, you need to hear this. Rebecca Ricky is alive. She lives in Portland now. And get this, she's been trying to reach Randy for months. Something about their agreement. And Jennifer Liu? That's where it gets interesting. She died 7 years ago. Car accident. But Elena, she had a sister. A sister who's been looking for Randy ever since. Why? Because Jennifer was pregnant when she died. And she'd just discovered Randy was already married. The sister thinks Randy was involved in the accident somehow. My blood ran cold. What was the sister's name? Victoria Liu. But Elena, I looked at her photos. With different hair, different style. She could be Veronica Dan, I finished. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. Veronica wasn't Randy's mistress. She was Jennifer Liu's sister, here for revenge. The pregnancy, the attitude, the public humiliation, all calculated to destroy him. But that still left questions. Why now? Why involve me? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, check your mailbox. Against my better judgment, I went outside. Inside the mailbox was a single photo. Randy and another woman, not Veronica, in what looked like a lawyer's office, signing papers. The woman's face was turned away, but something about her posture was familiar. I was still staring at the photo when Mrs. Shane appeared at her fence. Elena, dear, I remembered something. About that man I saw with Veronica. He had a distinctive watch. Gold, with a black face. Looked expensive. My father's watch. The one that had gone missing after his accident. The one Randy had sworn he'd never seen. Mrs. Shane, I said slowly, what exactly did the man look like? Her description, when she gave it in detail, matched my father perfectly. But that was impossible. My father had been dead for 10 years. And less. Mrs. Shane, you're absolutely certain about the timing? 10 months ago? Positive, dear. It was the day of my grandson's birthday party. May 15th. I thanked her and walked back inside on unsteady legs. Sophia looked up from her phone, concern etched on her face. Mom? You look like you've seen a ghost. Maybe I had. That night, I did something I'd sworn I'd never do. I went through Randy's computer. He'd left it behind in his rush to leave, probably forgetting that I knew his passwords. He used the same 3 in rotation, had for years. What I found in his email drafts made me sick. Correspondence with someone using the handle Phoenix97. The messages went back years, discussing the plan, the timeline, and the assets. But it was the most recent exchange that stopped my heart. Phoenix97, she's getting suspicious. We need to move now. Randy, not yet. The trust doesn't mature for 3 months. Phoenix97, I've waited 10 years. I'm done waiting. Either you do it, or I will. Randy, you promised no one would get hurt. Phoenix97, like you promised my daughter? Jennifer trusted you. Rebecca trusted you. How many more, Randy? Randy, this is the last one. After Elena's trust clears, we're done. Phoenix97, we're done when I say we're done. And if you think about running, remember, I know where all the bodies are buried. Literally. My hand shook as I screenshotted everything. Who was Phoenix97? And what did they mean by literally? Mom? Sophia stood in the doorway. There's someone at the door. It was past midnight. My heart hammered as I peered through the peephole. A woman stood there, older, weathered, but with eyes I'd recognize anywhere. Rebecca Rickey. Randy's first wife. Please, she said when I opened the door. I know it's late, but we need to talk. All of us. All of us? That's when I noticed the car in my driveway. Veronica, or rather, Victoria, sat in the passenger seat. And in the back, a figure that made my knees buckle. The man from Mrs. Shane's description. The one with my father's watch. He stepped out of the car, and in the porch light, I saw his face clearly. Not my father. But close enough to be his brother. Because he was. Hello, Elena, said the uncle I'd been told died before I was born. I think it's time you knew the truth about your family. And about Randy. We gathered in my living room, a bizarre assembly of Randy's victims and my supposedly dead uncle. Sophia sat beside me, gripping my hand as the truth unfolded. My name is Robert Alvin, my uncle began. And yes, I'm your father's brother. He told you I died because it was safer that way. I've spent the last 30 years in witness protection. Witness protection? My voice was barely a whisper. Your father and I witnessed a murder when we were young men. The killer was never caught, but he knew we could identify him. Your father chose to stay, to build a life, to hope the danger would pass. I chose to disappear. What does this have to do with Randy? Robert's face darkened. Everything. The man we saw commit murder that night? His name was Martin Rickey. Randy's father. The room spun. Rebecca spoke up, her voice bitter. Randy isn't his real name. It's Martin Jr. He changed it when his father went to prison for tax evasion. They never got him for the murder. But Randy knew what his father had done. He found out about your family, Elena. About the witnesses. So he married me to, what? Get revenge? No, Victoria interjected. He married you for money. Just like he married my sister. Just like he married Rebecca. But when he found out who your father was, it became something more. Insurance. As long as he was married to you, he figured your family's secret was safe. But my parents died, I said numbly. Robert's face crumpled. That was my fault. I reached out to them 10 years ago. Told them I was coming back, that I was tired of hiding. And then they told me they were going to meet with your cousin before coming to meet me when it happened. The accident was just that, an accident. But Randy saw an opportunity. He knew about the trust, Rebecca added. He'd been planning to divorce you before your 40th birthday all along. But when he found out about the trust, he realized he could have it all. The money and the silence. Until I showed up, Victoria said. My sister died because of him. Maybe not directly, but she was rushing to confront him about his lies when she crashed. I've spent 7 years planning this. Getting close to him. Pretending to be pregnant with his child. You're not pregnant? Sophia gasped. Victoria smiled coldly. Oh, I'm pregnant. But not with his baby. My husband's. Randy just thinks it's his because he's arrogant enough to believe every woman wants him. So this whole thing, the dramatic entrance, the public humiliation, was meant to destroy him publicly before I destroyed him legally. I have evidence of his bigamy. His fraud. Everything. But something still didn't add up. I turned to Robert. Why reveal yourself now? Why risk your safety? His eyes met mine, full of sorrow. Because Randy made a mistake. He reached out to my handler last month, trying to find me. He knew I was alive, his father had told him. He wanted to make a deal. My silence for a cut of your trust. But you said no. I said I'd think about it. But I knew then that you were in danger. All of you were. Randy is desperate. His debts aren't just financial, he owes money to dangerous people. People his father knew. He needs that trust money, or they'll kill him, Rebecca finished. Just like they threatened to kill me when I tried to leave him. Just like they threatened Jennifer. The pieces of the puzzle formed a picture more horrifying than I'd imagined. Randy wasn't just a con man. He was trapped in a web of his father's making, perpetuating crimes to stay alive. So what do we do? I asked. We end it, Victoria said. Tomorrow, at the divorce mediation Randy scheduled. He thinks you'll be alone, emotional, easy to manipulate. Instead, you'll have us. All of us, Rebecca added. Every woman he's wronged. Every life he's destroyed. And me, Robert said quietly. With the evidence that will put his father's associates away for good. The FBI has been building a case for years. They just needed the final piece. Which is Randy himself. When he realizes he's cornered, he'll make a deal. He'll turn on everyone to save himself. It's who he is. I looked around the room at these strangers bound by shared pain. And then? Then you get your life back, Victoria said. We all do. But I knew it wouldn't be that simple. Nothing ever was with Randy. The mediation was scheduled for 2 p.m. the next day. I arrived early, alone as planned. Randy was already there, looking haggard but trying to project confidence. Elena, he said, attempting warmth. I'm glad we can do this civilly. Are you? He had the grace to look uncomfortable. I know yesterday was difficult. Veronica shouldn't have come to the house. But you have to understand, I fell in love. It happens. Does it? I kept my voice neutral. Tell me, Randy, when exactly did you fall in love? Before or after you found out about my trust fund? His face went still. I don't know what you're talking about. No? Then let me refresh your memory. I pulled out the photos Rebecca had given me. Him with her. Him with Jennifer. The marriage certificates. How many times can you fall in love, Randy? He went white. Where did you get those? Does it matter? Elena, you don't understand. It's not what it looks like. It never is with you, is it? The door opened. Victoria walked in first, no longer pretending to be pregnant, her prosthetic belly gone. Behind her, Rebecca. Then two more women I didn't recognize but whose faces I'd seen in Randy's files. Hello, Martin, Rebecca said coldly. Miss me? Randy stood so fast his chair toppled. This is ambush. I want my lawyer. Present and accounted for, said a man entering behind the women. Though I should mention, Mr. Ricky, I'm no longer representing you. Conflict of interest, you understand. Hard to defend a client when you discover you're also one of his victims. What? That investment opportunity you brought me? The one that cost me my retirement? I've been looking into where that money really went. Randy backed toward the door, but it opened again. Robert entered, flanked by two FBI agents. Going somewhere? Robert's voice was ice. I watched Randy's face cycle through emotions, shock, fear, rage, and finally, desperate calculation. You're dead, he whispered. Disappointed? Your father will be too. Though I doubt you'll get a chance to tell him. He's being arrested as we speak. Amazing what people will confess when they think their son is about to testify against them. I haven't testified to anything. No? One of the agents stepped forward. Then what do you call this? He produced a recording device. Your conversation with Phoenix 97? That was us, Mr. Ricky. Every word, every confession, every threat. Recorded. Randy turned to me, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw real fear in his eyes. Elena, please. You don't understand. They'll kill me. My father's associates, if I don't pay them. Then you should have thought of that before you made me your mark, I said quietly. Before you made all of us your marks. I loved you. The words exploded from him. At first, it was about the money, yes. But I fell in love with you. With our life. With our children. Don't. My voice could have cut glass. Don't you dare bring our children into this. You sent them away. You were going to let them think I was the villain in this story. I was protecting them. You were protecting yourself. You always have. The agents moved in, but Randy had one more card to play. Your parents, he shouted. You want to know about your parents? Ask him. He pointed at Robert. Ask him why they really died. Robert's face went gray. Don't. They weren't driving to meet you, Randy snarled. They were running. From you. From what you'd become. Your brother discovered you weren't in witness protection anymore. You'd become one of them. One of the criminals you were supposed to testify against. That's a lie, Robert said, but his voice shook. Is it? Tell her about Chicago, Uncle Robert. Tell her about the warehouse fire. Tell her how you paid for your new identity. I looked between them, my world tilting again. Robert? He couldn't meet my eyes. It's complicated. My God, Rebecca breathed. You're Phoenix 97. The FBI agents looked as stunned as the rest of us. This wasn't part of their plan. Robert straightened, and suddenly he looked less like my father and more like a stranger. You have no proof. Don't I? Randy smiled, the expression sharp and desperate. Check his phone. Check the drafts folder. He's been sloppy. One of the agents moved toward Robert, who backed away. This is ridiculous. I'm here to help. Then you won't mind us looking, the agent said firmly. What happened next was chaos. Robert lunged for the door. Randy, seeing an opportunity, dove for the other exit. The agents split up, one tackling Robert while the other pursued Randy. But Victoria was faster. She'd come prepared for Randy to run. The pepper spray caught him full in the face, sending him crashing into the wall. As both men were handcuffed, the truth emerged in broken pieces. Robert had indeed turned criminal, using his supposed death to build a new empire. He discovered Randy's schemes and decided to use them for his own ends, extorting money from Randy while pretending to protect me. My parents had discovered the truth and were fleeing to protect me when they died. The accident was real, but they'd been running from my uncle, not to him. I'm sorry, Elena, Robert said as they led him away. I wanted to protect you. In my own way, I was trying to. By using me as bait? By letting Randy continue his schemes? By getting close enough to take him down. And take back what he stole. You're no better than he is. Robert's laugh was bitter. No. I'm worse. Because I had a choice. Hours later, I sat in my empty house with Sophia and Tony, who'd returned from camp. The FBI had taken our statements. The lawyers had begun untangling the web of marriages and frauds. The media had gotten wind of the story. By tomorrow, it would be everywhere. So Dad's going to jail? Tony asked quietly. Yes, sweetheart. For a long time. And Uncle Robert, he's not really dead, but he's bad too. Yes. Is anyone in our family not a criminal? Sophia's attempt at humor fell flat. We are, I said firmly. We are not our family's sins. We are not the lies told to us or about us. We choose who we become. What happens to Veronica? I mean, Victoria? Tony asked. She got what she wanted. Justice for her sister. She'll go home to her real husband, have her baby, and hopefully find peace. And Dad's other wives? They'll get their own justice. Their own closure. And us? Sophia's voice was small. What do we get? I pulled them close. We get the truth. We get freedom. We get to build our lives without lies. And the money? Grandma and Grandpa's trust? I'd thought about that. The trust would still come to me, the divorce wouldn't be final by my birthday. $8 million. Blood money, in a way. We'll use it to help the other victims, I decided. All of them. Everyone your father and uncle hurt. And then we'll use what's left to build something new. Something honest. The doorbell rang. We all froze. I'll get it, I said, though my hands shook. Mrs. Shane stood on my porch with a casserole and a gentle smile. I thought you might not feel like cooking tonight. Behind her, other neighbors appeared. The Johnsons with a salad. The Lees with dessert. Even cranky Mr. Garrett from the corner house, awkwardly holding a store-bought pie. We saw the news, Mrs. Shane said simply. But we know you, Elena. We know who you really are. I stood there, surrounded by the community I'd lived in for years but never really seen, and felt something break open inside me. Not the sharp shatter of this morning's revelation, but a gentle cracking, like ice melting in spring. Thank you, I managed through tears. As my neighbors filled my kitchen with food and quiet support, I realized something. Randy had spent so much time and energy building elaborate lies, creating false identities, destroying lives for money. But in the end, it was the simple truth that brought him down. The truth, and the connections between people he'd hurt. He'd thought we were all isolated marks, easy to manipulate and discard. He'd never imagined we'd find each other. Never thought his victims would become his downfall. Later that night, after everyone had gone, I found myself in my bedroom, staring at the empty space where Randy's things had been. 17 years of marriage, reduced to absence. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria, "Thank you for everything. Jennifer can rest now." Then one from Rebecca, "The FBI says we'll all get restitution. But what you gave us today was worth more than money. You gave us our voices back." I thought about Randy, sitting in a cell tonight. About Robert, facing justice for crimes I was only beginning to understand. About my parents, who'd died trying to protect me from truths too terrible to share. But mostly, I thought about tomorrow. About waking up in this house with my children, without lies. About rebuilding our lives on a foundation of truth, however painful. The sunrise would come as it always did. But for the first time in 17 years, I would meet it as myself, not as Randy's wife, not as a victim, not as a mark. Just Elena. Bruised but not broken. Betrayed but not bitter. Free. A month later, the trials began. Randy, faced with life in prison, did exactly what Robert had predicted. He turned on everyone. His father's criminal network, Robert's operations, even schemes we hadn't discovered yet. The FBI called it one of the biggest organized crime takedowns in decades. But I wasn't in the courtroom to watch. I was at the bank, setting up the Elena Ricky Foundation for fraud victims. The trust money had come through, and with it, a chance to transform pain into purpose. Sophia designed our logo, a phoenix rising from ashes. "Too on the nose?" she'd asked. "Perfect," I'd told her. Tony wrote our mission statement with the earnestness only a 13-year-old could muster, to help people who'd been lied to find the truth and start over. Simple. Honest. Everything Randy had never been. Victoria was our first board member, her business acumen invaluable. Rebecca joined next, bringing legal expertise. Even Randy's former lawyer, offered pro bono services, seeking his own redemption. But the real surprise came when Mrs. Shane knocked on my door one evening, holding a manila envelope. "I've been debating whether to give this to you," she said, settling into my kitchen with tea. "But I think you need to see it." Inside were photographs. Dozens of them, all taken from her window over the years. Randy coming and going at odd hours. Meeting with strangers in cars. And one that made my blood run cold, Randy and Robert together, dated 3 years ago. "You knew?" I whispered. "I suspected. My late husband was a detective. He taught me to notice things. But I also learned that sometimes, people need to discover the truth in their own time. Why didn't you? Would you have believed me? The perfect husband, the loving father? Sometimes, Elena, we have to let people show us who they really are." She was right. I'd needed to see it myself, to understand the depth of the deception. "There's one more thing," Mrs. Shane said, pulling out a final photo. "This was taken the morning your parents left for their trip. Look at the timestamp. 5:47 a.m. In the photo, a figure stood by my parents' car. The image was grainy, but the build was unmistakable. Randy. He was there, I breathed. He saw them leave. And made a phone call immediately after, Mrs. Shane added. I couldn't hear what he said, but now we knew. He'd alerted Robert. Set the chase in motion. The photo was the final piece of evidence that would ensure Randy never saw freedom again. That night, I called the prosecutor with the new evidence. Randy's lawyer requested a meeting the next day. He wanted to make another deal. I agreed to see him, but not alone. Victoria, Rebecca, and 2 other victims flanked me as Randy was brought into the meeting room, shackled and diminished. Elena, he started, but I held up a hand. You don't get to speak. Not anymore. Just listen. I placed Mrs. Shane's photo on the table. Watched the last of his arrogance crumble. You called Robert that morning. You set my parents' death in motion. And for what? Money you were never going to get anyway? His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to plead guilty to everything. No trial, no appeals, no deals. You're going to detail every crime, every victim, every penny stolen. And then you're going to disappear into whatever hole they put you in, and you're never going to contact me or our children again. The kids are not yours anymore. You gave up that right when you chose greed over family. I'll die in prison, he whispered. My father's enemies. Then you should have thought of that before you followed in his footsteps. Victoria leaned forward. My sister died at 23. She'll never get married, never have children, never grow old. Why should you get what you stole from her? Rebecca added, you took 10 years of my life. 10 years of looking over my shoulder, afraid you'd find me. One by one, each woman spoke. Each voice another nail in the coffin of Randy's delusions. When they finished, I stood. Goodbye, Randy. Or Martin. Or whoever you really are. May you finally learn what it means to live with truth. As we left, I heard him call out one last time. I did love you, Elena. That was real. I didn't turn around. Maybe he had loved me, in whatever twisted way he was capable of. But love without honesty isn't love at all. It's just another con. 10 months later, I stood in my kitchen, the same kitchen where my world had shattered over breakfast. But everything else had changed. The walls, once pristine white, now blazed with color, Sophia's artwork covering every surface. Tony's soccer trophies lined the mantel, no longer hidden in Randy's study. The house breathed again, free from the weight of secrets. Mom, I'm heading to the foundation, Sophia called out. At 16, she'd become our youngest volunteer, helping other teens cope with family fraud. Take your brother, I called back. He's got coding class with the Wilsons. The foundation had grown beyond our wildest dreams. What started as a way to help Randy's victims had become a nationwide network. We'd helped dozens of families already, unraveling financial deceptions and providing support. Victoria had her baby, a healthy girl she named Jennifer. She sent photos regularly, the child's innocent smile a reminder that life continues, even after devastation. Rebecca had started dating again, cautiously but hopefully. 20 years of looking over my shoulder, she'd told me. I'm ready to look forward instead. Even Randy's father's victims had found us, sharing stories that went back decades. We were mapping a web of deception that spanned generations, helping law enforcement close cold cases and prevent future crimes. But the biggest surprise came from an unexpected source. A woman appeared at the foundation one day, elderly but elegant. She introduced herself as Margaret Rickey, Randy's mother. I know I have no right to be here, she'd said, tears streaming down her face. But I need you to know, I tried to stop them. Both of them. My husband, and later my son. They destroyed me for it. She'd brought boxes of evidence she'd hidden for 40 years. Documents that exposed not just crimes, but the system that had enabled them. Banks that looked the other way. Lawyers who facilitated frauds. An entire network of complicity. I couldn't save my son, she'd said. But maybe I can help save others. Her information led to a federal investigation that was still ongoing. The foundation had become more than a support system, we were actively working to change the systems that allowed predators like Randy to thrive. My phone buzzed. An unknown number, but I recognized the prison prefix. I almost didn't answer. Then curiosity won. Hello? You were right. Randy's voice was different. Older. Broken. About everything. I just wanted you to know, I testified. Gave them everything. Not for a deal. Just because you were right. Why are you calling, Randy? To say I'm sorry. I know it means nothing. I know it changes nothing. But I needed to say it. And? A pause. And to warn you. Robert had partners. People I didn't know about. They're still out there, and they blame you for his arrest. Be careful, Elena. The line went dead. I stood there, processing this final manipulation. Was it real concern or another con? With Randy, I'd never know. But I wasn't the same woman who'd sat at that breakfast table, blindsided and broken. I had resources now. Allies. Strength born from surviving the worst. I called the FBI agent handling our case. Then I called my security company. Yes, I had one now. Finally, I called my children. Family meeting, I said when they got home. We need to talk. We sat in our colorful kitchen, and I told them about Randy's call. Their faces went through the same emotions I'd felt: fear, anger, determination. So we're still in danger? Tony asked. Potentially. But we're not victims anymore. We're prepared. What do we do? Sophia's jaw was set, so much like mine. We live, I said firmly. We don't hide. We don't run. We've built something good here, something that helps people. We're not letting anyone take that away. Dad's trying to help? Tony sounded confused. Maybe. Or maybe he's trying to manipulate us one last time. With your father, we'll never know the whole truth. That's okay, Sophia said quietly. We have our own truth now. She was right. We'd built our truth from the ashes of lies. Created a family stronger for its scars. Found purpose in our pain. That night, I stood at my bedroom window, looking out at the neighborhood that had embraced us. Mrs. Shane's porch light was on. She'd become our unofficial guardian angel, those sharp eyes always watching. A car drove slowly past. Then again. My hand moved to my phone, ready to call for help. But then I saw it clearly: Rebecca's car. She was nervous about her date, circling the block before picking up her boyfriend. I smiled, tension easing. This was our life now. Moments of fear followed by relief. Shadows that might be threats or might be friends. But always, always, the knowledge that we'd survived the worst. My phone buzzed. A text from Victoria: board meeting tomorrow. We have 3 new families that need help. You ready? I typed back, always. Because that's what you do when you've been broken and rebuilt. You help others find their pieces. You show them that betrayal isn't the end of the story, it's the beginning of a better one. Somewhere, Randy sat in a cell, living with his choices. Robert faced trial for crimes spanning decades. Their legacy should have been destruction. Instead, it had become transformation. The Elena Ricky Foundation's motto, suggested by Tony, hung above my desk: truth builds stronger than lies ever could. Simple. Honest. Everything we'd chosen to become. I closed my curtains and prepared for bed, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Robert's associates might come. Other victims would find us. The work would continue. But tonight, my children were safe down the hall. My chosen family of survivors was a phone call away. My community stood guard with casseroles and concern. Randy had asked for a divorce over breakfast, thinking he was ending my story. Instead, he'd given me the gift of beginning it. The real one. The true one. The one where I saved myself. And then helped save everyone else.